All right, number 7. Number 7, we want to first find the vertical asymptote, if any, and then we have a part 2. So we get our vertical asymptote from our denominator. So we have 2x plus 6 in the numerator, and then we have x plus 1. This will not factor out. We could factor out a 2 and we'd have x plus 3, but that won't divide out. So with the vertical asymptote, you would take the denominator, set it equal to 0, and when you solve, you get x equals -1. Okay, just by subtracting 1 from both sides. So we're going to type in x equals -1 and hit enter. Alright, and then part 2, we want to find equations for the horizontal asymptote. So remember, horizontal, there were 3 cases. We had at the top is greater, there's none. If the bottom is greater, it's 0. And if they are the same, the degrees are the same, then it's the ratio. So notice here, the degree on top is 1. The degree on bottom is 1. So our horizontal asymptote is going to be 2 over 1, the coefficient, okay, the coefficient. So that would be 2 over 1, which reduces to 2. So your horizontal asymptote, in this case, is y equals 2. If you want to reduce it, don't write 2 over 1, convert it to 2. So y equals 2, and we hit enter, and then that is good. Alright, so number 8. We've got 2 parts. We're going to find the equation of the vertical asymptote, if any. So number 8, we are going to set the denominator equal to 0. We have x squared plus 10 over x cubed minus 64. Now, to factor the bottom, there is a sum and difference of cube formula, and it goes like this. If you have some term cubed, and it could be plus or minus. So let's do this. I'm going to find a different color pen, and then you will see both formulas. So the black signs will go with the black, so I'm going to do minus first since we have a minus. And then, so if you have 2 terms that are perfect cubes, this is factored by taking the cube root or removing the cube, keeping the sign the same. So you have a minus b, and then you have another parenthesis, and you square the first term, so that's going to be a squared, opposite sign, multiply the 2 together, ab, and then square the last term, and that is always positive. So if you were doing it with a plus, you're doing it with the plus sign, if it was plus here, just follow the signs on the bottom. It'd be plus here, it'd be a minus here, and then it'd be a plus here. So if it's black, you just follow the black signs. If it's positive, you follow the blue signs. And it's the same setup. So there's an acronym, SOAP, same, opposite, always, positive, to help you understand the sign. So whatever you had here, this is going to be the same, this is going to be the opposite, and then the last one is always positive. So now that we have that, you need to understand that the x cubed and the 64 is a perfect cube. So x cubed, and you can rewrite 64 as 4 cubed, and then by following this, it's just a given formula. Take the cubes off, and I'm going to write x minus 4. So that's the same as going from here to here. Then you're going to square the first one. You're going to multiply the 2 together, and you're going to square the last one. So x squared opposite sign, and then you square the last one, which is going to be 16, positive 16. Setting this equal to 0, we will get, so let's set this equal to 0. X minus 4 equals 0. And then you solve. Now this is the denominator. We're trying to find the vertical asymptotes here. So we have to factor this first and then set it equal to 0. So this is going to give us x equals a positive 4. So that's our vertical asymptote. And then usually these come out imaginary. It won't factor. So let's go ahead and do quadratic formula and just verify. And I think, if memory serves me correct, usually every time this comes out imaginary. So we'll only get this one. But let's verify. So we're going to do quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So we're going to do b squared, which is a 4. We're going to plug it into a negative, so we have a negative 4 plus or minus the square root. 4 squared, or b squared, is going to be 16, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 16. And if we do this, this will give us 64. So I'm just going to cross this and write 64 when you multiply all that, all over 2 times a, which is 1, so just 2. Alright, then a couple more steps. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 minus 64. So herein is where we can see, and we can stop from here. When you do 16 minus 64, you're going to get a negative under the square root. That will give you a negative 48. And then when you do the square root of the negative, it's imaginary. So right here we can stop because we don't write imaginary asymptotes, we only write real ones. So x equals 4 is our only vertical asymptote. Enter, not none. Alright. And then B wants us to find the equation for horizontal or oblique. So they're telling you got to figure out which one. So top greater, none. Bottom greater is equal to 0. So since the degree on bottom is a 3, the degree on top is a 2, the bottom is greater. So our horizontal asymptote, the horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. And that's just knowing, or just referring back to the notes that tell you